Some really rough oxidation. Today we're going to be trying to put the Poli Glow kit on it, and we've started on the front with a pre-rinse soak, and we're using the Poli coat or Poli prep. Scotty's blasting it off with the pressure, and we're using the scrub brushes and the pole brushes and the Poli prep, and it's getting really clean. We're doing the Poli Ox scrub now on the whitest, most oxidized areas, and then anywhere where it's stained, like the little decals on the side were raised and kind of covered in mold and had some black pitted stuff on them. Scrub that off real nice, and it's doing pretty good on the oxidation. It's definitely taking a nice layer of the oxidation off. So I'd have to say I'm surprised at how well it seems to be working. It's definitely drying a little white still, but you can see a lot of oxidation definitely came off just in that one little pass. So it's definitely darker, and all that is literally just taking off oxidation with a substance that's a lot like Ajax. You can easily see the whiter area where he didn't scrub as much, and then the darker area right above it was about just as bad. So that's not scrubbed at all, and we're gonna work our way down through that area, and it should be darker like the top part there. So it definitely takes the white off to start with, and I imagine this Poli Glow part's gonna give it a good glassy look. But again, it is just a 1-year fix. Oxidation stuff works really good. I think it's covering the highlighted whiter areas that didn't get completely, totally off. And if it makes this textured part turn dark and stay dark, I'll be impressed. Alright, so we're drying off the part we just scrubbed, getting it ready to put some Poli Glow on it now. Looks like a lot of the whiter areas have come off.
To wash it with a wash mitt.
But it might need a little more prep before we can actually get the glow, because we got a few areas like this. However, it's definitely making a difference. It's a lot of labor on something that needs to come this far. Okay, so we just got done rinsing this part off from the white part, the powder Poli Ox. Just rinsed all that off, and a lot of the oxidation came off with it. So I guess by the time we're done here today, we'll have a game plan and know about how long to predict it taking, and we'll get a fresh start early morning and plan on finishing the whole thing in one day with possibly up to 10 coats. Goes on much like varnish. You try to avoid getting bubbles and foam in it, and you finesse it. Takes like several coatings.
I swear it does.
About the time you get from one end to the other, it's time to start on the second coat and third, and so on. So dries quickly, and the more coats, the more shine it seems, but you don't want to start until you get rid of all the oxidation, or you'll just have shiny white spots. And I believe each coat will get nicer and nicer, and hopefully it will get away from having patterns and streaks and any of the unleveled out stuff. Will kind of work its way out as we go. It does say be gentle and keep all the bubbles and foam out of it as much as possible. So we've definitely been making an effort to do that, and for less than 2 coats it's looking pretty good so far, but you never know until you're done. Coat 2, freshly laid and drying, waiting for coat number 3. This is just into the 3rd coat.
I would just Google it, see if it's got a UV.
We're gonna keep going and see where we're at with 6 coats, and let it fully dry.
Hey dude.
And we're prepared to go the full 10 coats. Okay, so now we're starting coat number 5. We're just one coat away from the recommended amount minimum, but up to 10. So depending on the condition, they recommend 6 to 10, and we're one coat away from 6.
Without a doubt,
This is a project gone well so far. I think everybody's stoked. We're gonna do the whole boat now. This was by far the hardest area, and if this came out good, and we're not even at 6 coats yet. Literally at coat 5, it's drying, and we're waiting until it's dry enough to put coat 6 on. And 6 is actually what's recommended, but I think we're gonna go maybe as far as 7 or 8 today, because once it gets to a certain point, it actually goes from getting easier to getting to where it almost feels like too much. Starting on number 8, still wet. After 8 dries, we may do 2 more coats, and that'll be 10 coats on this one little area. All right, so this is 10 coats. Got it propped up where the mechanic can get to his part. Got this 10 coats in drying. And now we just have to plan out a full day to come back and nail the rest of the boat, which ain't even half as bad as what this was. No letters, no trim pieces, no metal, no screws.
Well, I mean, if it's like you said it was, it sounds
not
like
half of the oxidation, and none of the texture that we had to deal with here. So the rest of the boat's gonna look as good or better.
And I don't get stuff. Okay, so you can say what you want about 2 motors, but it's always good.